The Business is sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
And yes, it's Sunday, it's 8 p.m, and welcome to The Business, the show that's essential listening for the West Herts business community. And in the light of this being the season of shopping and celebration, this week, I know that Trevor doesn't like shopping that much, no. But we're going to force him to talk about it. But this week we've spent a lot of time talking to the independent retailers of West Herts, and we've been finding out about the challenges and successes that they've been experiencing in 2014. And I've also been getting them to share some of their New Year's resolutions as regards their businesses, otherwise in the business known as business planning for 2015. So keep listening for hints and tips and lessons learned by the small businesses of West Herts. Now, if you've got any experiences of business through 2014 that you'd like to share with our listeners, or if you have New Year's business resolutions that you're going to turn your business into gold in 2015, please call us and join in the discussion on 01727 839 926 or tweet at RVTheBusiness. Tonight, as I mentioned, I'm with fellow presenter Trevor Merriden. So, Trevor, what bit of learning for business have you received in 2014, and what's caught your eye in the news?
The best bit of learning that I've had this year is that you probably already know the answer. and that we spend too much time looking for newfangled solutions, external things, the new fad, and so on. And I went to a presentation a few months ago where somebody said, just forget about all that. You know, we actually probably you've got the answer in there already. You just don't know it. And those things. It's not just about instinct and the like. It's also about having, if you've really you've probably been through a number of the same problems before. It doesn't mean you won't have that moment of enlightenment, but it does mean that ultimately, actually, you've probably got a pretty good idea if you get beneath all the paraphernalia of everyday life about what it is you really want. Clarity, that's the thing.
Clarity. But what about that old phrase of not knowing what you don't know?
Yes.
How does that fit into that sort of concept?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I think you've got to have room for the little bit of innovation, but I think controversially that innovation is something we talk about an awful lot, but actually the best innovation is the incremental innovation, the bit that comes bit by bit, where you actually find lots of small improvements. Lots of small improvements make one big improvement. Yeah,
no, I couldn't agree with you more on that front. I think one of the things that I see a lot in businesses is there is never, ever a shortage of ideas. So there's never a shortage of innovation. But there is always a huge shortage of people to put that idea into practice and make it work and modify it and develop it and to get it really working. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, what does everybody think really about this whole concept that's coming over from the States about going mad on shopping? So it appears that we've adopted Black Friday, and that seemed to really, really work well for the retailers. Then it was Small Business Saturday. I'll have to say that I was really delighted to read the economics editor of The Independent reporting that the UK has had the best sales growth in 3 months. Evidently, the British Retail Consortium estimated that total sales were 2.2% higher this month than last year. So that's definite growth, and that's really, really good news for the high street. But for me, what was particularly interesting about this whole business of Black Friday and Small Business Saturday was that the heavy marketing that they did for them really drove traffic. But it not only drove traffic to both the high streets and the online stores, but it also raised the sales of non-sales items, particularly within the premium ranges. So that was a real lesson to be learnt, I think, that if you can get people in the mood to open their purses with promotional messages, then you can drive sales across the whole range that's on offer. So, this sort of concept of changing your attitude to sales and discounts is a really into a sort of business development driver. Then you really will be onto a winner. And I was sort of thinking about this, and I think it's the principle behind Bog Off, the buy one, get one free thing.
I still can't get used to that.
I know, it's strange, isn't it? The buy one, get one free. It's about establishing the real price of the item or service whilst getting the customer into the habit of using that particular service or product. And it's so much better than just discounting. where price then, is not established. Therefore, the value of the product that you're getting or the service isn't established, and it then means it's probably unsustainable. So I think this whole, all of the activity that's been going on around Black Friday and Smart Saturday or Small Business Saturday has really sort of led to some new learning as regards the value of sales.
Yeah.
So we really want to hear your views. Do get in touch with us. But what's been in your mind this week, Trevor?
Well, I was reading today about Alice Barrow. Alice Barrow's luxury candle business has really taken off. I read
very
today.
Festive, very festive.
It was. I thought so from that point of view. But she and Tom Green had started their own business, and it's all about that question of when you have a hobby and you decide to try and do something about that hobby, whatever it is. Candles in her case as a sideline, mixing the different colours, scents and waxes and so on. And she found pretty quickly that actually there are lots of people who were really interested in that. And but it was a labour of love. But was it a lucrative future for her? So I read the story today in the newspaper and it stuck with me about these candles, which cost £35, by the way. Have been
Sounds
sold
like a bargain candle. You clearly haven't bought candles off them recently, Trevor.
I hope it lasts a long time for that. But really the issue for me was about, should you, if you've got a hobby, at what point do you stop it being a hobby and start it being your job and and a business, and will you still love it if you do it in that way? And it kind of ties in a bit with the Small Business Saturday about how a lot of independent businesses, the independents that we're going to be talking about today, actually start off with something that's their passion. Yes. And that how they then go on and use that passion, and what is it that stops it becoming mundane?
Yes, it's going to be very interesting, and we'll hear some sort of ideas and thoughts in the clips that we're going to show on the show later on. Yeah. But it is one of those difficulties, isn't it? It's that turning a hobby into a business and then turning that business into a sustainable revenue generator. Yeah. And all that goes with it, all the the staff issues and all of the other aspects that make a business that isn't just about making a candle. Yeah, and
the foot of this article was probably the most useful bit of it, which was the experts were sort of called in. It was kind of one of those ask an expert type things, and it said that in order to avoid myopia, that just because you love something, that doesn't mean that anybody else will love it as well, is identify in a sort of dispassionate way the problem that you want to solve, from a business point of view, come up with a name, logo, get the website name, do all those sorts of things, but also go and find out a lot about what grants and loan schemes are available, and don't, if it's your hobby, invest too heavily. Don't bet the house on it, literally, at the start. Just test the market, because if it's your passion, you may have a sort of myopia over the whole thing. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, isn't it? Because you also, what we see quite often is that the business starts up and what I call low-hanging fruit happens. All those people that have said they really want to buy, they really want the service, they really support you, and, your friends and your family and your relatives and your neighbours. They're sort of going to support you whatever you do, to be frank. But taking it then beyond the low-hanging fruit to really find out whether there's a market out there, you really need to do that before you've invested in really, really developing, or putting a lot of money into a project, because you might find that, as you say, you're really, not onto the winner that you thought you were onto.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to take a little break now, and then when we come back, we'll be talking about our theme for this evening, which is the state of independence. Really, the state of the independent business market. We'll be back right after this break.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
Trestle Art Space is a community art space and registered charity situated in Russet Drive in Highfield Park. Home to Trestle Theatre Company and world-renowned Trestle Masks. We offer a wide range of arts-based activities as well as professional theatre shows, monthly live music showcases with licensed bar and a gallery cafe with exhibitions from local artists. Our 100-year-old converted chapel is also available to hire for weddings, private parties and business meetings. To find out more, please visit our website at trestle.org.uk. And please support us in bringing affordable arts to our community.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
Mosaic brings together a group of singers based in and around St Albans, each with a wealth of experience in a wide range of choirs in the UK and abroad. Mosaic have built a repertoire that covers pretty much everything, from Renaissance polyphony to contemporary classics. Bird and Berlin, Victoria and Vaughan Williams, Gesualdo and Gershwin, and many, many more. And they have pieced this all together to produce performances to the highest professional standards. The concerts they give each year provide you with good music, well sung, that is appreciated and enjoyed. For more details, visit mosaicchamberchoir.co.uk.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners. If you want to get in touch with the business on Radio Verulam, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@radioverulam.com.
Yes, this is the business. We want this show to be about the business community. So we want to know what you think and what you can share. This evening we're talking about independent business and the high street. And without further ado, let's get on to the subject. So I went out on the streets of St Albans and popped in, first of all, to a few of the bricks and mortar retailers, only talking to independents. The first person that I spoke to was Jane Hartley of Maison Hartley, who I met up with in the lovely, lovely large new showroom in St Christopher's Place, St Albans.
We've had our shop in George Street for 2 years, 2 years in September.
And now you've expanded into St Christopher's Place?
Yes, this is just a trial for us, so we've got a temporary lease until January, but it's gone so well that we're looking at moving up here.
Excellent. So actually, the premises in George Street are smaller, and so you moved into larger premises in effect.
Yes, yeah. When we moved into George Street, I always loved that street, and I wanted to sort of bring something back. But unfortunately, I think the footfall is much lower, and it's difficult to get people to know that you're down there. It's a lot of hard work, and it's much easier being up here. I mean, we've had a very good response all round, and I think the George Street shop really punches above its weight. But I think St Albans' reaction to the business is that they really want it. So it's just too difficult to try and drive people down there, unfortunately.
But it sounds as though you've had a very good year. It sounds as though you're growing well, and albeit a difficult spot down there, you've succeeded. To be able to come up to bigger premises, you must be having a good time.
Yeah, it's been fantastic right from the outset. The business has grown, even though it is very tough for independents, and I think it's not just the competition, because I welcome that. It's I think a disproportionate sort of business rates to the footfall, but for us, I think we've got something which you can't see elsewhere, and we provide a really good service, a very good personal service, and that's what people like, and that's what they welcome.
It's something that on the show we hear all the time. It doesn't matter what sort of business it is, but it's all about service. But the other thing that independents bring to the high street is it's just something different, and certainly in the store there's lots of different things. Is that what you hear from your customers?
Yeah, certainly. We sell in the George Street a lot of lighting, and we have lots of sort of internet, I'm not going to say victims, but people who've bought things online and they can't see the scale of it, and with lighting it's quite a difficult thing for people to buy for their homes. But we are ready with advice. I'm a designer, so I'm usually on hand to give people tips and things, and I think just being able to physically see something, a light and the scale of it, and sometimes we'll lend things out to people so they can take it home and see what they think, especially if they're thinking of a set of dining chairs or with lighting, and they might have their electrician coming in a month's time and they're doing a project. So we would, lend them things to try before they ordered.
That's fantastic. So 2015 has been a really big success, and it looks as though you're growing, which is fabulous. Yes, and that was Jane Hartley of Maison Hartley. Just a fabulous store, Trevor. It really was.
It was, and it also brings out the very important issue of location in St Albans for independents, and the importance of a footfall, to retail, and the increased need of the and the cost of marketing as well. But if we look at footfall to start with, she was saying that on the one hand, they did very well. They punched above their weight, is what she said, in terms of the in terms of where they were. But actually, they noticed a real difference once they moved.
Yes, well, they haven't actually moved. Just to be square, they've still got the shop in George Street, but what they're trialling is these larger premises, which are right in the bang slap in St Christopher's Place. So whereas St George Street is like a destination shopping road, which unfortunately is a great destination because there's so many great shops down there. But St Christopher's Place is more of a sort of thoroughfare, so you've got people using the car park, people using the gym, people using the restaurants and stuff. So you've got sort of quite a lot of footfall that's just naturally walking past. So for the sort of stuff that they do, you can get footfall through marketing because people are looking for a specific bit of lighting or a specific sofa or items like that. But for a lot of the other products, the beautiful cushions and the accessories, that's probably not what you call it in soft furnishing. Furnishings, that's what you call them. Yeah. But people walking past and just seeing it in the window and thinking, oh, that's lovely, it just makes life so much easier for them. And you can save a lot of money through not having to do a lot of marketing. And
a bit in there as well about customer service, a well-worn theme of our show, but you can't come back to it too many times, and that really helps you punch above your weight.
Oh, definitely. And service. We talk about it all the time. We're going to hear it a lot from a lot of the stores. But making it quite a special event and doing things that online retailers can't do was a very clear message coming through from Jane. To be able to give advice on lighting, for people to be able to take a dining chair home and see what it looks like on the dining table. That sort of thing is incredibly important in interior design. And that's the sort of thing that's just impossible to do online. You've got to buy it, you've got to get it home, then you've got to send it back, then you've got to wait for the money to come back, and so on and so forth. So it's just a very different type of arrangement.
So it's an area in which an independent can make a real difference. We all know that we all hear stories about you could go to your bargain bucket place somewhere, the big chain and so on, but in terms of service that it's worth its weight in gold.
Without a doubt, and I don't think that type of idea is unique to interior design by any stretch of the imagination. I think if you recognise the value of that customer service and make things happen that are different and that are unique, we used to hear it quite often with places like the dressing room where they'd have functions, etc. You really develop those relationships, and it just makes a lot of difference because people are increasingly everybody does stuff online, and you can buy all sorts of stuff online these days, but actually knowing the person you're buying it off and really respecting their opinion is incredibly important.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to have a quick trial, and then we'll be right back with you.
This is Alexander Bhowmick inviting you to join me on Sunday afternoons at 4 for the Radio Verulam Arts Programme, your essential entertainment guide covering everything from news of local events to exclusive interviews with personalities such as Christopher Biggins, Joe McElderry and Hayley Westenra. To find out who I'll be speaking to this week, tune in to the Arts Programme on Sunday at 4 on 92.6 FM Radio Verulam.
If you want to get in touch with the business on Radio Verulam, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@radioverulam.com.
Welcome back to the business. It's round about just gone 22 minutes past the hour. You're listening to the business on Radio Verulam. If you want to get in contact with us via Twitter, you can get hold of us on @RVTheBusiness, and we're seeing quite a few tweets tonight already. We're talking about the rise of the independent retailer, and we've just heard from a business that called Maison Hartley that's had a great year and expanded to test the water in a much bigger showroom in St Christopher's Place, and it seems to be working well, doesn't it, Vicky?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they're doing really, really well. It'd be interesting to see whether they stay in St Christopher's Place or whether they have both stores in St George Street and Christopher's Place. Right.
Our next interview was with one of the smaller, even more specialist retailers. Here is Vera Dalziel sharing her views on what makes an independent store so special.
I think that independent businesses are definitely growing. As a shop closes, I've noticed that the smaller, more independent shops are opening up, which is a fantastic atmosphere to St Albans.
And what makes an independent shop special?
Oh, many things. The personal service that you get, always business with a smile, helpful assistance, the prettiness of the shop, the individuality of the shop. There's no one that's the same. The goods always different, always interesting, and just in general the service and happiness you get from the shop assistants.
Service and happiness. That's such a lovely, lovely combination, and we have actually heard that already in other interviews. Do you think that it's increasingly what the customer's looking for, though?
Very much so. With online shopping, which is the thing of the future, I'm told, you cannot get that personal service, that little chat, the information about the product, the feel of the product. It definitely would make a difference.
And we've come across that lovely, very specialist store before at the Retailer of the Year Awards that Trevor and I presented not so long ago.
Yeah, I just want to say something. I just write this down. I know Vera sounds like she's talking perfect business sense. I don't get it about handbag stores. So, I mean, how do they thrive?
Oh, I'm you know what? I'm quite pleased that you don't get it about handbags. You haven't spent enough time in Europe where there's man bags are really taken off in a big way.
Yeah.
Well, what can we say? I just don't think I'm going to stoop as low as trying to explain to you what the business of handbags is all about.
You don't need to justify it, do you? Okay.
But it's a lovely, lovely specialist store. The amount of stock that they've got in there really is amazing, given the size of the store. And I know it's really difficult for you to discuss handbags, Trevor. But some of the things that she was talking about were really quite interesting. She mentioned online shopping, and she said a thing of the future. I mean, obviously we know that it's a thing of the present, and it's absolutely massive. But I just wonder whether it's a generational thing, and whether our kids will get out of the habit of going to the shops. A bit like newspapers, you get out of the habit of buying a daily newspaper and you're getting your news in all sorts of different ways. Is it going to happen with shops?
I just looking at my kids today, and they are all sort of on the they're all on the internet and buying things. They're used to Amazon Click if they're buying a movie and so on, and I think there is a generational thing, but is it just a generational thing? Also, because our habits are changing as well. I mean, I've done half my Christmas shopping online.
That's bragging. That really is bragging. I haven't got as far as half yet.
I'm not sure which half. Yeah. So there is a generational thing. Is it going to go a bit like the newspapers? Well, yes. I mean, I think the newspapers aren't like the newspapers now, are they, at all? But one of the largest types of online sales is, of course, shoes.
Yes,
and you wouldn't have thought that sort of, even sort of 4 or 5 years ago. I see that a man in the US decided to take a new approach to market research, the Just Do It approach, and he set up a website with pictures of shoes. And when he got an order, he went out to the retailer and bought the requested pair of shoes. So the sort of intermediaries are sort of coming into it now. So,
and they're now one of the biggest global shoe sellers in the world. So everybody's going to know who they are. It's interesting though, because when I shop with my daughter, so I wonder whether there's a sort of boy-girl thing coming along here, because whilst my daughter is online and has all the gadgets and does all the stuff and buys online, she also loves shopping. There's that thing about just going and trying things on, even though you've got no intention of buying at the moment. So things will change. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think that it's going to be quite as difficult to maintain a position on the high street as we maybe thought it was going to be a few years ago.
Okay, so from bags to booze. If you have anything you'd like to discuss with us, please call or tweet. But now we're on to booze, which is much more my kind of home territory. In our next clip, we go back to some old friends who are no doubt very busy at this time of year. Have a listen.
And in the spirit of Christmas, I'm here with Roberto at the Tomoko Spirits Boutique, which is an independent that's actually been growing quite dramatically, I think, in 2013, 2014, hasn't it?
Well, we're trying our best. Yeah, we opened 2 years ago in December, and we just opened our second shop in Hertfordshire about 3 weeks ago, mainly to cater for the people that want something different and that can't find in the supermarkets.
And are people looking for something different in the spirits world?
Yes, I think so. I think generally people are looking for better value for money. So not necessarily going cheap, but actually getting something of value for their money. So every pound counts, basically.
And is that where the independence really, the strength lies? That you can actually stock stuff that the supermarkets just can't afford to?
Sure, yeah, I think it's mainly that's half the job done for us, stocking the good quality products, but also expertise and experience comes into play, and also we do have tasters and tasting events, so that sort of opens up the horizons for consumers to see what's out there.
I can imagine at those taster events, you also make friends, and so build relationships, and that always helps sales, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We see it not just as a quick way of making a sale, but also establishing relationships with our customers. And I'm one of the owners, one of the partners in the business. So it does make a difference when you're walking into an establishment and you're actually speaking to the owner who actually cares about their business and about what they can provide to the customer directly, and that makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah, we hear this sort of thing a lot, and it really is, one of the strengths of the independents. Oh, and that's such a lovely shop, crammed full of lots and lots of just gorgeous bottles of things which you would really love to taste. And it really endorses what Vera Dalziel was saying about tempting the discerning shopper. Interesting thoughts that he had on value versus price, Trevor. Since we're not talking about handbags any longer, what are your views on specialist spirit retailers versus the sort of good old stack 'em high, sell it cheap and... just wait for the hangover approach to alcohol?
Well, I think that I'm not a very discerning drinker. I mean, in many senses, but I think I can tell good quality booze when it sort of hits my lips. I mean, I think you can really tell that when you are you're going along to sort of wine tastings and so on, and you actually, I think you can tell the difference, even if you think your buds aren't that sophisticated. So I would pay quite a bit more for good plonk, really.
Yeah, no, I think there's no doubt about that. But what a great idea to and so obvious that in that sort of arena, experiential marketing, getting the customers in there, getting them to taste, getting events going, having people in the environment tasting, starting to get friendly, and which of course alcohol helps with, no doubt about that. It's a great way of building trade, isn't it?
Building relationships in the business, because in their thing they are very dependent on people coming back. The old Cheers theme. I want to go to a place where everybody knows my name. That old sort of thing. And and if you go into Tomoko Spirit, and there's a familiarity there in their sort of boutique, or even in Makoko, you would actually sort of, you have a certain atmosphere, and you sort of, I go in there, and I'm not saying they say your usual exactly, but it's not far off. So.
It's incredibly important in a shop like Tomoko, because they're not going to be able to survive if it's just at Christmas that they're getting big trade, or at the sort of festival times, the feast times, the Easter celebration times, things like. There's no way that they'd have a sustainable business if that was the only time people bought stuff. I think the other thing that they're able to do, which can work incredibly well, is in building those relationships, having the bar as well as now the spirit shop. Yeah. They can really do a good job with database marketing, so they can just keep in that sort of thought process in people's minds that says, don't just go to the supermarket and get your usual Smirnoff. We've got some fabulous vodkas. They're terribly different. We're importing them from Russia. Come and try. Come and taste. We've got something that's really special. Okay. And also, just looking at the bottles that some of these boozes are presented in now, they really make glorious gifts as well. Yeah. Which, I hate to say it, but I don't know any blokes that don't like a nice bottle of some sort of booze.
Well, in case you thought you were tuning in and listening to sort of some
the
meeting of Alcoholics
show.
Anonymous or something like that, just remind you're listening to our independent business special. You're listening to The Business on Radio Verulam 92.6 FM, and we know a growing number of you are listening in from outside the area, so that's www.radioverulam.com. So we're discussing the independent retailers of West Herts, and if you've got anything to add to the discussion, please tweet us on @RVTheBusiness, and we'll be back with you after this short break.
The Business, sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
At Kingston Smith, our ethos is simple. We want our clients to succeed. Welcoming owner-managed businesses and individuals, we pride ourselves on offering the local business community a range of services that best supports their needs for maximum growth. Kingston Smith, helping our clients succeed. Find us on St Peter Street in the heart of St Albans, or for more information, head to kingstonsmith.co.uk.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
People living with cancer or life-threatening illness can often feel isolated, confused and alone. Grove House in Waverley Road, St Albans leads the way in offering free specialist care and support to patients and their families affected by cancer and life-threatening illness in St Albans, Harpenden and Dacorum. To find out more about their services, or how you can become a volunteer, or make a regular donation, or leave a gift in your will, phone 01727 731 000 or visit grove-house.org.uk.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
Join Simon Carver on Fridays from 6:30 p.m. for the Film Guide. We look at the UK cinema box office top 10, a selection of the new cinema releases and the best of the week's films on free-to-air TV. That's Fridays from 6:30 p.m. on West Herts Drive Time with Danny Smith, exclusively on Radio Verulam 92.6 FM.
So, from spirits to sweets. Gosh, I do love my job at Radio Verulam, particularly at this time of year. So, next up is a lovely young lad, Matthew Unerman, of Mr. Sim's Sweet Emporium. So the sweet smell is overwhelming here at the sweet shop of St Albans, and I'm here with one of the staff who's been working here for 6 months. It's got a very festive atmosphere at the moment. But how has trade been over the last year?
It's been quite good actually. It wasn't as good as the year before, but it's really starting to pick up in the last couple of weeks. We've seen our sales go on the weekdays what we normally get on a Saturday, so it's really increased.
Now, Mr. Sim's is actually a franchise, and there are Mr. Sim's in other cities of the country. Any ideas why St Albans?
It's just because of the town is so nice. It brings a really nice atmosphere, and all the customers are joyful and caring, and they engage in conversation. And compared to other places where I've worked, that just doesn't happen.
So, do you think that whole customer relationship is important?
Definitely, because a key part of our job is selling, and if the customers are willing to respond, it's so much easier to engage with them, and it really helps business and makes the day more enjoyable.
Now, you've got a fabulous atmosphere in here, and there's lots and lots of things that I don't think I've seen anywhere else. How does that work in terms of, competing with the WH Smiths that sells sweets, or Sainsbury's or whatever?
They definitely have similar sweets and competing prices, but what they don't have is the atmosphere and the joy and the staff that we have. And we really try to engage with customers and fill their needs, and if they want a sweet, we'll get it in. And we really try to engage.
Engagement, it's a word that we hear an awful lot on the business show. What about 2015? What's going to be different in 2015 for you?
We're getting new sweets in. We're hopefully going to redesign a bit. We're going to do more for the customers, more competitions maybe. We're going to try and get new branches out. We're thinking of somewhere else near St Albans, so it's really, really looking good.
Excellent. Well, have a really, really fun Christmas and a great 2015. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
So that was Matthew Unerman of Mr Sims talking about the lovely, lovely sweet shop, and also talking a lot about customer engagement, once again endorsing what Roberto's of Tomoko's was saying. Trevor, customer engagement, is it an essential part of business today, or is it just a new buzzword that fits the zeitgeist of the independents?
Well, there's a difference between buzzword and what's underlying the buzzword. Yes, of course, it's buzzword. Customer engagement, all those sort of things you see. In 5 years' time, we'll be calling it a completely different bunch of things. Some guru will come and talk to us about something. If I was smart enough, I'd tell you what that thing is, but I'm not. So, but the underlying it, you just got to get people involved, in what you're trying to actually. And what you're trying to sell. I mean, that's as old as the hills.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. And is it an essential part of business today? It's an even more essential part of business today because people are so fickle, with their preferences. Attention spans are shorter. People have greater expectations when they go into a shop or deal with another business. But the impatience has grown, but the kernel of truth about what we now call customer engagement is there, I would say.
I don't disagree, and there's so much more competition and there's so many more people doing so many clever things.
Yeah.
But it's also going back to really, really knowing and understanding your audience.
Yeah.
And Matthew's talking about having competitions and things that the kids can do and things that the mums can do. And if you can engage mums and kids, then you're going to have them in a sweet shop, aren't you? They're going to come back time and time again. And we're all nodding. We've all got kids. It's just it's a bit of a no-brainer. But having said that, there are plenty of places where you just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
So they're it's great to hear that they're doing well. It's great to hear that they're doing lots of different things. But what about that lovely phrase, the joy and friendliness of the folks of St Albans? Isn't that gorgeous? To sort of where are they, these friendly people? Joy and friendliness. Now, it's great to hear. It does make you feel proud to be in the area.
For Vicky, it's a two-way street, isn't it? Is that the people who come in there, if you go into a shop like that, and I've been in there with my kids, and I'm immediately thinking, wallet alert, don't spend too much. But actually, it's a happy shop. And if you're a happy shop, you just can't help but feel happy. And I can feel that wallet reaching into my pocket and coming out and doing things I shouldn't do with it.
Did you find yourself actually buying sweets that you like as well, that you hadn't seen for a while, or maybe you had when you were
old favourites.
Yes. Yeah. And what's your old favourite in the sweet department?
Oh, crikey. I don't know if it's in that particular one or not, actually, but the old milk bottle.
Oh, really?
I used to love those.
I like blackjacks and fruit salads. Those are my favourites.
Yeah. Well, so there's lots of clear messages sort of coming from the independent retailers of West Herts. We've still got a fair few clips to play. So, but before we move on to the traders of the Christmas market, let's hear from another familiar voice on Radio Verulam.
Now, once again here with the reluctant Maria Allen of Chloe James. Chloe, sorry. Maria, you've had a fabulous year, certainly from Radio Verulam's perspective. We seem to have seen you at a few events and awards ceremonies. How has 2014 been from a business perspective?
It's actually been really good. It's been great because I think we're now people are getting to know us as an independent shop that stocks quite unusual labels for fashion, unusual gifts for the house. We've got a lovely sort of loyal following of customers, and considering times are still quite tough out there, I think we've we're happy with how it's gone so far. So yeah, no, it's good.
That's excellent to hear. And what makes the independent sector so strong in St Albans? It seems that there's a lot of independents, and everybody I've spoken to is saying that they've come through difficult times, but it's pretty good business at the moment.
I think St Albans itself is a lovely town to sort of come and browse, and there's lots of sort of just places of interest to see. But I think it's just that, just something that's slightly different. New products in the shop, interesting buildings. I think also it's really important to have a good relationship with your customers, and we get lots of customers that come in once they've discovered us, and it's just we try and create a nice environment that is welcoming, and just try and keep that sort of relationship with customers. Keeping it strong, yeah.
That sort of atmosphere, when you walk into some of the shops in St Albans, they're so different. The whole the environment's different. The flavour, the energy. Do you find that customers are sort of starting to get bored with the big chains?
I think people go to some of the big chains when it's almost like a mission. You've got to get something. You're just going through. I'm not saying that they don't do interesting products. But I think the independents offer something a bit different that's just a more pleasurable experience, really. We're always saying to people, come in and browse. They sort of might look round, might not necessarily buy, but then when the right occasion comes up, they come back, and I think hopefully, we're able to find things that they like. And they do. And people come in and say, my wife sent me in here, she just said it's lovely, and whatever you can find, that's perfect. So that's really, really lovely to hear, because that's our challenge, really, just trying to fill the shop with nice things that people like.
So you're listening to The Business. We're doing a special here on the rise of the independent retailer. So another lovely plug there, Vicky, for the lovely town and people of St Albans. Now I know this one in particular is a store that you're fond of. Why so?
Oh, it's like a treasure trove. It looks from the outside like a tiny little shop, and you go inside and it's just packed full of very, very beautiful things, from jewellery to scarves to just delightful things for the home and interior. And I think that they really managed to do what the independents need to do, which is to find things that you just won't see in other places. You lots of these independents, they are quite independent, but you think, well, if I went to a big John Lewis, I could probably find something pretty similar. Chloe James seems to just there's the two women, Maria and her partner, and they've just got a slightly different style. They've got a different taste. So you know that you can go in there and you're going to be able to find something that's really special and really quite different. And that's what independence is all about. I mean, it's the name of the word. It's the definition of the word. Really,
absolutely. And I could go in there and surprise my wife if I said that. So I know I get something good. It really would surprise her if I went in there, I can tell you. But yeah, we're getting now to the DNA, the essential meaning of independence. Perhaps epitomised in not just in this clip, especially, but also through all the ones we've heard so far and the ones that remain, about sort of what independent is really kind of all about, really, isn't it?
It also goes back to one of the points we were making about starting a business from a hobby.
Yeah, the passion.
The passion.
Yeah.
It's a passion and the delight that you have personally in some area of business or some service or some products, and you just want to share that passion, and it shows. It really does show, and the chances are, we said you have to test these things and not spend a lot of money before you crack on and do it, but it does. You can feel it in these stores. You really can. It's lovely. It's really nice.
Okay.
So we've heard from a wide selection of bricks and mortar retailers. But what of the market? I mean, we can't talk about independent retailers without actually covering the fabulous fabulous market that's growing and growing. And it's increasingly being a big draw for shoppers. And this also brings me back to the point that I made earlier, that if we are attracting people to to St Albans or any of the other villages in and around through these fabulous markets that we're starting to run, those people will go into the other shops and everybody benefits. So I went along to the Christmas market. It was a bright and crisp morning.
You set the scene so beautifully.
And the church bells were ringing and the frost was in the air. And I caught up with one of the market's organisers, Anne Austin. I'm with Anne Austin, actually in one of the huts at the Christmas market in St Albans. It's very, very festive, and we can hear the carols and things in the background. You are one of the people that have put this fantastic market together over the last couple of years. So what's been happening this year that's different from last year?
This year we've really looked at the layout of the market, because we wanted to increase the chalets from 42 to 66 this year, but still give it a really nice layout, which I think we've achieved this year. The pathways are clearer, you can see the stalls better, and there's plenty of room to move around, as well as have a drink at the main bar this year.
Oh, well, that sounds good. Now, that's interesting, because it does feel as though, it's busier and there's more going on, and if there's more going on, then presumably it attracts more people.
Yes, we've increased our marketing this year, and that is one of the reasons we've got so many retailers come down here, because part of the package of having the chalets is to promote them through our marketing, and we've been in St Pancras, we've been to Bedford, so it's along the train lines, it's in the city centre, local papers, so I'm hoping we've reached everyone this year.
Well, it certainly looks as though you have, and we've got a very, very bright and frosty morning, which fits in with the whole theme of Christmas. I've been talking to some of the stall holders, and certainly a number of the ones that I've spoken to are back for their second year and are really feeling that it's growing quite nicely for them.
Yes, it'd be lovely to have returners every year, because I think we've suddenly become a little bit of a family, which is lovely because it's 25 days, and hopefully next year we'll get bigger and perhaps increase the days, but it'd be really nice to have them all back again and some new blood as well.
So footfall, once again, is crucial, and without doubt on those sorts of markets in the covered orchard, it's incredibly important that they get the marketing campaign off, and they sound as though they've got it absolutely right, and it's really paying off. So without further ado, let's hear from some of the stall holders to see how they are feeling. Now I'm with Dave, the very, very reluctant interviewee at Pollyfields. They've got a fabulous stand here, all full of the most gorgeous orange and cinnamon decorations. Now I remember meeting up with Joe last year, and it's good to see you back in the Christmas market. So how's it going so far this year?
Yeah, it's going okay, pretty steady. A little bit quiet in the week, but weekend's really good, really buzzing.
And does this sort of nice frosty weather and bright sunshine bring the hordes out?
Well, this is ideal. It's not very nice when it's raining. A little bit of wind, but nice crisp morning.
Feels Christmassy, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, with the Christmas spirit going, yep.
And are you doing anything differently this year from last year?
No, we've still got all the same shows going, so we're at quite a few Christmas shows going, so no, just...
And how does St Albans compare to other Christmas shows?
Well, it's just starting really, isn't it? It's the second year. Just sometimes takes a few years to actually build up and get your name out there, really.
Yeah. And what about next year? Same, more of the same?
I'd have thought so. I'd have thought we'd be here, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much, Dave.
Hi, I'm Nayna Mistry from Mistry Gems, an ethical sort of healing 925 sterling silver sort of semi-precious stone jewellery business.
And this is the second year that you've been at the St Albans Market, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it was. It was on a small scale last year, but I knew that it had potential for this year, so I've decided to come back because the setting's lovely, locals are lovely. So I met some beautiful people here last year.
That's really nice. That's the second time that I've heard about nice locals in St Albans. Good on St Albans. So does it feel quite different from other Christmas markets or other markets that you do?
Yeah, it's more intimate, I think, and I think because you've got the locals popping in, and you do generally make good friends with people. I know there's coach loads coming in, so they come and they go, but you still got the locals supporting it, and they're actually quite impressed with it this year as well. It's the feedback I've had.
Well, that's really, really good. So is it a good year has it been a good year for the independent traders?
I'd say it's a bit of a slow start, but I think that's the case everywhere, at every market, having spoken to a few colleagues at various different Christmas markets this year. But I think I'm positive. I think people generally sort of hang out a little bit longer, and they're smooching around to see what's available and obviously getting ideas and their lists together. But I think by the end of it, it'll be fine.
it's always fine at the end. A very positive clip, and really good to hear. That was the reluctant.
I don't know what I'm doing. I must be frightening people.
Why are you making people so reluctant?
I don't know. I sort of managed to persuade them in the end that it's just a quick chat with me, and Dave was fine, and Maria was fine.
He was great. Yeah, Dave's great.
No,
and Nayna of Mistry Gems was there as well.
She was just lovely, and it's a beautiful stall, and you know, how lovely to sort of say once again, I'm meeting beautiful people in St Albans. That's really, really nice.
Let's just think about one or two of those things. So marketing, if you don't let people know through lots of channels, they
just
can't
turn up. Of course they
can't. Build it and they will come, because they won't.
No, it's absolutely, you know, marketing is crucial. And a lot of people sort of don't actually incorporate that into the early plans, because the earlier you start marketing for events like that, the better, because quite a lot of people have to plan. You know, there are coach loads coming into that market. Now that takes a bit of planning, and people need to book it into their diaries, etc. So marketing early is essential.
Okay, so you're listening to Business on Radio Verulam 92.6 FM and www.radioverulam.com. We're discussing the independent retailers of West Herts. But now we're going to move on to the final part of the show, with about sort of 7 or 8 minutes to go to the hour, to talk about a few New Year's resolutions for 2015, right after this break.
You're listening to The Business on Radio Verulam, with a voice of the local business community on 92.6 FM and on radioverulam.com.
So we've looked at 2014, lots of really positive stories, lots of hints and tips for retailers, both independent and market stallholders. But what about 2015? I also, as I was trotting around St Albans, asked all our contributors what their plans were for 2015. So let's hear some New Year's resolutions.
I think my resolution is to just keep on with the good service, and to try and have not so many small things, to cut down on the number of suppliers that we use, because that can give us a headache, because you have to build up your relationship with the suppliers, and it's been a steep learning curve, but it's been great.
Got new stock. We're always looking for new suppliers. We've got new stock coming in. We've got a new range of gloves. We've got different things, more scarves. We've definitely got a plan. We can't expand in size, but we can certainly expand in our stock.
Keep focused on what you do best, but also see where you can diversify. For example, next year we're planning to have a still and make our own gin. So that's something that's exciting us very much for next year.
Wow, that's exciting me now. I think that sounds like one party that I'd like to be coming along to.
We're getting new sweets in. We're hopefully going to redesign a bit. We're going to do more for the customers, more competitions maybe. We're going to try and get new branches out. We're thinking of somewhere else near St Albans, so it's really, really looking good.
I think for us it's just trying to keep the shop just looking interesting. We're always trying to find new products, new fashion ranges, also just trying to spread the word really, because I think what's lovely in St Albans is that they're really nice sort of like different areas to walk around, but we need to get people to come into the town as well. You know, I think sometimes if you've got a couple of hours, you might just pop in, go to the main high street and then go back home. And I think what we're trying to do is encourage people just to walk that bit further, enjoy what St Albans has to offer, and come in and see us as well.
That was Jane from Mason Hartley, Vera from Carousel, Roberto from Tomoko, Maria from Chloe James, and a host, a galaxy of retailing stars. So a mixture of things there, Vicky. Some are consolidating suppliers, some are expanding into new premises. There's lots happening. Lots of people kind of happy and optimistic, but for quite different reasons.
Yes, and some different messages. Jane was specifically talking about reducing the number of suppliers to make life easier. Vera was talking about increasing. All were talking about doing different things, and maintaining that energy of change and maintaining that development of the business has got to be essential to independent retailers to keep customers flying back, because it is about that relationships and about engagement. But I must just say, I do like the idea of distilling my own gin. Sounds fun. Back to the booze front.
Yeah.
So that's those are all the clips that we've got so far. But we did also go back to the market.
Yes, we did. So finally, let's hear from the Christmas market stallholders about their 2015 plans. So we're going to hear first of all from Anne and the market team about how they're going to start going about planning the market for 2015.
We look at this year's, how it's worked, and then we'll put some key recommendations and issues together and start to plan next year. So by next March, we'd have a scale of what we'd like to do, how to improve lighting and areas that probably aren't as good as we'd want them this year, but, everything needs looking at. So, yes, bigger and better next year.
That's fantastic. Well, we wish you every success. It's certainly lovely today.
I am trying a few different shows. Obviously, each year you have to try different things. And I generally trade in the summer in sort of Christmas, flower shows, country shows, agricultural shows. So I'll be focusing more on flower shows because that really works well for me. And dare say I'll be back here at the St Albans Xmas Market next year because, again, it's the third year and it'll be even bigger and better, yes.
Even bigger and bigger next year, bigger and better next year. Have a fantastic Christmas and all the very best in 2015 and see you next year. So everyone's sounding very jolly and positive about trading next year.
Absolutely. I mean, it's looking like a good year, I think, as we sort of head into the sort of the hinterland of 2014. I think I feel quite up for it, really.
Buoyed up, yeah. I think the other thing that's really interesting is that normally at this time of year, everybody's saying, "Oh, it's just terrible out there, and there's no sales." And then by the time Christmas comes, everybody says, "Oh, everybody started buying; they just bought late." But we hear it every year, don't we? So overall, it does seem that 2014 has been good for most of those that are passionate and inventive and personable, and the customers are really responding. Is there anything else that you think we've learnt tonight, apart from handbag shopping?
That strikes me between the eyes that we've learnt about independent retailers. I just think what a good, feisty, energetic bunch they are. Really, I mean, it's just great to see that the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well and kicking. And I think this is 2015 is going to be a great year.
I certainly think it is. So that just remains for us here at the Business Show to wish you all a very, very happy, healthy, and prosperous 2015. It's really important that you keep listening to us, you keep sending us your ideas and any interests that you have regarding topics that you'd like us to discuss anytime. Call us on, now what's the telephone number?
01727 839 926. 926, do you get that? 92.6.
Absolutely.
It's the number, and the Twitter is at RVTheBusiness.
So if there's really anything that you'd like for us to cover in 2015 on any topic at all as regards business, please get in touch and we would be delighted to hear from you.
If there's anything in the show you want to talk to us about, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@radioverulam.com.